Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes and perhaps the quickest in NHL history for a team to blow a 5-point lead in a playoff position. The Coyotes now 1 point behind the St. Louis Blues, and the Blues have 2 games in hand on the Coyotes. So they've hit a rut. Everyone knew. They called it a mile away. These 4 games, starting with 2 games with Vegas, 1 game in Denver, and to close out the 9-game road trip, 1 more against Minnesota and Wednesday. It was going to be a tough one, and what I wanted was what we saw Monday night, a competitive game, getting some good shots. It was a good game. The third goal by Prosvetov was a bit of a weak squeaker, and they had a goal disallowed in the first period. So it was pretty even though it came to a 3-0 deficit going into the third period. The Coyotes had a great third period, and they clawed back enough where it was good hockey. They outshot the Avalanche, and a lot of good things from that game you can carry forward. The 2 games against Vegas, neither of those games I thought were good at all. Embarrassing efforts, I thought, in both games. I don't know why the broadcast team was so adamant that the Coyotes played well Sunday afternoon against Vegas. They had 14 shots in that whole game, 8 shots in the final 40 minutes. I mean, the whole game was in the Coyotes' end. After the first period was good, but after the first period, Vegas was just playing in the Coyotes' zone the whole game. The Vegas Golden Knights had 5 posts. Adin Hill had to stand up tall, and the Coyotes had no offensive juice whatsoever. It could have been another 4 or 5-0 game. If you're just a scoreboard watcher and you see 1-0, the Coyotes had a good game. I don't think so. Both of those games were just embarrassing and miserable, especially that Friday night game. Coming out that first period down 4-0 and then 5-0 in the second, and then sort of battling back and trying to make a conversation for a game. The team just wasn't prepared at all for that game. A miserable start to that game. Adin Hill on his 10th straight game. He needed rest. It's obvious he needed rest. Not sure why it took Tocchet so long to put in Prosvetov to get his first NHL start, but Tocchet decided to throw him against the Colorado Avalanche, and he had a good game. He did his job. I said before the third goal he probably should have had, but it was more the Coyotes had no real grade A scoring chances throughout the first 2 periods, and in the third period the Coyotes sort of turned it on offensively. So they're back to NHL 500. They had a 4-game gap, but that evaporated quickly, just like their playoff standing. They got 1 more against Minnesota. The trade deadline went by without nothing happening. Status quo by team management, just like last year. John Chayka decided not to do anything. The Coyotes were close enough in the playoff race that he didn't want to dismantle anything, and the market wasn't there for what they needed. And they also got Taylor Hall months before the trade deadline last season. This season, again, they're only 1 point out of a playoff spot on trade deadline day. Trading away Goligoski would be detrimental to the defense. And now with Jordan Gross's season-long injury, whatever season's left, Demers, you can't really fill Demers' gap with anyone. You'd have to call Kyle Capobianco back up, but I know Rick Tocchet, he's not favorable in Rick Tocchet's penthouse. And a couple other players are in the Tocchet's doghouse now. Derek Brassard was scratched last night. Clayton Keller put to the 4th line. When your team hasn't scored in about 6.5 periods, it's 5.5 periods. They didn't score all Sunday afternoon and didn't score the first 2 periods of the Avalanche game. But when your offense is dried up and you need an offensive juice, and, a kickstart to your offense, it's good to play, a top 3 winger on your team on the 4th line with Christian Fischer. Obviously, I'm talking about Clayton Keller. I'm not sure why. Tocchet is so, he plays favorites with his defense, but not his forwards, and especially that short leash line. A couple weeks ago was Nick Schmaltz, who was demoted to the 4th line, and now it's Keller's turn on the 4th line, but you never see, OEL have his minutes diminished or Labushkin scratched after that terrible giveaway Friday night against Vegas Golden Knights. Labushkin's had a rough couple of games. So has OAL, but you never see their minutes go away. And obviously, it's more important to have defense than forwards. But Clayton Keller, I didn't even think he was playing awful against Vegas both games. And for some reason, Sunday afternoon, Tocchet decides to only play Keller for 12 minutes that whole game. And I felt like the whole forward group wasn't playing well at all. So why single out Clayton Keller? It's beyond me, but another questionable coaching decision that has been, consistent throughout this whole season so far. I said they didn't acquire anyone from the trade deadline, but they did get Nick Hjalmarsson back in the lineup and Tyler Pitlick. Michael Bunting is continuing to produce and play good and play the right way, always in front of the net, always causing havoc in front of the net. He's a bit of a chippy guy. You saw him, bash heads with a couple Avalanche players after whistles. He got a goal, a great tip in front of the net. He's got 6 goals in 8 games, 7 points in 8 games, just doing exactly what needs to be done. Because of his emergence and his production, the Coyotes lost Drake Caggiula to waivers. Drake Caggiula always said he was a non-factor when he got his ice time, and it shows, and he was picked up by the Buffalo Sabres, so best wishes to him. And because of Bunting's play, you saw Dryden Hunt, draw into the lineup on a line with Kessel and Johan Larsson, and he's doing good. He got a goal Friday night. He's getting a lot of chances online. Probably one of the better forward lines the past couple of games, even though most of the forwards have had bad games the past 3 games. Kessel, Hunt, and Larsson have been getting good chances and, playing in the offensive more than the other lines, I would say. Nick Schmaltz and Connor Garland were quiet the first 2 periods against the Avalanche. It seems like whenever Schmaltz and Garland play the Avalanche, they don't have good games. They're not that noticeable, and they don't try to make the Avalanche play to their style of game, which is unfortunate because against top-end teams like the Avalanche and Vegas, you need your top offensive guys to really drive the offense and put pucks in net and get great and generate grade A scoring chances consistently throughout the game. So they got one more game on this 9-game road trip. It's been about half a month on the road, and then they're at home to St. Louis, I think, on the weekend. So they got to start picking up some points and wins. They're on a 4-game slide, 4 straight losses, all in regulation. It would be nice to get some overtime and shootout points, but you can't hope for everything. Lane Peterson was running in the lineup because Brassard was scratched. He looks good. He's a good 4th liner. I like he's confident with the puck, and he makes plays in the offensive zone with the puck as opposed to like Hudson Fasching or Michael Chaput, where the puck kind of dies on their stick whenever they get control of the puck. I expect Derek Brassard to draw back in the lineup. He's an assistant captain or an alternate captain, whichever way you like to call it, and he's a veteran guy. He's offensive as well, so maybe it was just a message by Tocchet to scratch him, hoping to see Keller get out of that 4th line. But I mean, if we look at what happened with Schmaltz, Keller will probably be on that 4th line for a couple more games until he does something, I guess score a goal. But he scored a nice breakaway goal Friday night, so I'm not sure why the demotion is coming. Kemper and Ranta are still injured. Hopefully we see them next week. They've been skating for a while now. We didn't see a Antti Ranta trade. If anything, I would have wanted a Ranta trade because his position's kind of nullified now with Aiden Hill's emergence and solid play as of late. I just think you had a guy with some value. You could have traded him. The Avalanche traded for Dubnyk. The Leafs traded for David Riddick from Calgary. I'm sure there was a team who could have used Ranta. He is coming off injured reserve very soon. When he's healthy, he's a top NHL goalie. So I'm a bit surprised they held on to him, and he'll pretty much walk in free agency without the Coyotes getting anything really. And same thing with Goligoski. Maybe they could entice Goligoski to come back next season on a much cheaper contract because he plays well. He's at the end of his career. He plays well with Chychrun. I'm sure he loves living in Arizona. That's why he signed here. So if they can negotiate and entice him to sign a cheaper contract, I'm all for that. But if he does walk away, obviously he walks away for nothing, just like Antti Ranta. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. It's been a rough, and I knew it. I told you guys, just close your eyes, for about a week. They got one more against Minnesota. Minnesota lost 8-3 to St. Louis on Friday. They had their game postponed last night for reasons I didn't even look up why it was postponed. So maybe, the Wild, been sitting too much at home, and maybe the Coyotes could get a jump on them. I hope the Coyotes come out against Minnesota, just emptying out the tank and not playing a lackadaisical game just to get home finally to their homes in Arizona. I really hope they have a statement against Minnesota Wednesday night, and they're not just, going through the motions just to get on that plane and ride that plane back home to Phoenix. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word, and thank you for your support.